After I talked last week about how to be the worst player, I wanted to talk this week about how to actually be a good player. And you can take what I said in the last video and just don't do that. And that will get you a long way. But I also asked my fellow GMs what we like to see in a player, and that was the basis for this video. What you have to keep in mind is that RPG, it's not a competition. There is no best player at the table, not really. And really what we are looking for as a GM is a player that we can get along well, that the other players gets along well, that is engaged with the game, that has fun with the game, someone who's agreeable, someone who's fun to hang around with. So this advice on how to be a good player won't be something you can do to polish up your game to a mirror-like sheen with Hollywood-like acting or anything. No, most of it is just don't be an arsehole. But that's very general advice, and it's easy to be an arsehole without ever realizing it. So I broke it down into something more specific, into some more specific points. Here we go. In no specific order. Be considerate of the other players. To start with, make a character that fits into the overall party. It's not a solo game. I don't mean they have to agree and get along all of the time. There should be potential for conflict, otherwise it would be boring. Once played in a group and we only had dwarves, and all of our dwarves were stereotypical, and we all agreed that dragons were the worst, and there was not much role-playing going on beyond that, and that was terribly boring. So you can disagree with the other party members. Elves and dwarves should fight about their outlook on life and how things should be done. But at the end of the day, the party has to be able to work together, to experience the adventures together. It's no fun if they are backstabbing each other in the night, if they are poisoning each other, and if someone is just stomping away angrily because the others don't agree with him. So make a character that can work together with the other characters in the group. For this, work together with the GM and the other players when coming up with the character. They can help you, they can be a great font of inspiration. And maybe if you really like this conflict play within the party, the others and the GM can come up with ideas why and how the party can still work together despite the differences. And then you've got this great buddy cop movie vibe where they are not getting along at the beginning at all, and then over the course of their adventures they learn to appreciate and trust each other despite their differences. Try to give other characters, other players, their spotlight, especially if they are beginners or more of a quiet type. If you are like me and you have a tendency to talk to every NPC, solve every puzzle, micromanage the party during combat, basically do everything yourself, remember that you are not alone, and sometimes just sit back and let the other characters have their spotlight, do their thing, handle this situation without you taking charge, especially, but not limited to, when their characters are better suited for the situation anyhow. So try to regularly sit back, relax, and let the others handle the situation. Better yet, encourage the quiet player, the new player, to take charge of this situation and then support them however you can. Be considerate of the GM. The GM has put a lot of work into preparing the adventure, maybe hours, maybe even days. So don't also expect him to host the game and prepare food, snacks and drinks for everyone. If you have a good location, offer to host the game. If you don't have a good location, offer to come early and help prepare for the session and clean up afterwards. Or offer to prepare food and bring snacks and drinks. Be considerate of the type of adventure your GM has prepared. Is it a story-driven, maybe even a railroaded adventure? Just let yourself be railroaded. Don't stray off too far from the carefully laid out plans of the GM. Is the adventure an open-ended sandbox for your characters to roam and explore? Take initiative, set yourself goals, and then strive to reach these goals. Is it an investigative horror adventure? Then investigate the horror. Try to get to the bottom of this mystery, even if running away would be the smart and sane choice. Just ask your GM what kind of adventure he has prepared, what kind he wants to run, and then help him run the adventure he has prepared. Side note, if you're a GM, try asking your players what kind of adventure they would like to play and then prepare that, or meet somewhere in the middle, so everyone gets what they are looking for. Learn the rules, so you can help out other players when they have questions, or even the GM. Just don't force your encyclopedic rules knowledge on everyone when they are not even asking. That way, the advice from a pedantic rule lawyer like myself can be seen as helpful rather than irritating. Don't be afraid to roleplay. You might not be a good actor and might be hesitant to engage in this goofy role-playing stuff. But don't worry, we've all been there and no one is expecting an Oscar-winning performance in a role-playing game. So just go for it. Address other characters and NPCs in direct speech and speak of your character's actions in first person as if they were your own. Though sometimes I refer to my character in third person. Barek does this, Barek does that. Barek hits the goblin with his mace. Especially when we are starting a new group and I want to reinforce the image of that character. But I will still address the other characters and NPCs in direct speech. Know when it is time to step up and take the spotlight. Take charge of the situation. Let your character be the big damn hero, or the drama queen for that matter. These are the moments role-playing games are at their best. Don't be afraid to sound cheesy and silly. It's a silly activity to begin with. Life, that is. And now take this a step further and include the other characters in your epic heroism or tear-jerking drama. Suddenly you have the whole group challenging the big evil bad guy with cheesy one-liners, or everyone at the table reaching for their tissues to wipe away the tears. Embrace failure. By the random nature imposed on the game by dice rolling, your character will fail many of their skill checks, ability rolls and attack rolls. Your character will stumble, fall and fail. Sometimes spectacular, sometimes with catastrophic consequences. Now, you could be upset about that. It's only human nature. But you really shouldn't be. RPGs are about storytelling. And dramatic storytelling needs the characters to fail in their endeavors and struggle to reach their goals. So in the end, when they eventually manage to reach their goals, it will be all the more satisfying. So instead of getting mad at the dice, ask yourself, how would your character feel about their misfortune and failure? How would they react? How would they overcome their challenges despite bad fortune? So embrace failure, make it your own, and the dice will never be able to upset you again. I mean, even truly catastrophic failure like character death or even a total party kill is the opportunity to give this story a new direction, the opportunity for something new. How would the party react to the sudden death of one of their number? Will they hold a funeral for him? Do they have to retrieve the body first? Maybe they have to carry it all the way back to civilization to bring it to his family. Or maybe the situation is so dire that they can only take a small token of remembrance from the character. How does the game world continue after a total party kill? Will the bad guys win? Will they establish an evil empire or further their plans to destroy the world? What kind of world would your next party of characters find themselves in? And what would be their relation to your last party? Are they acquainted? Descendants, maybe? Do they want to take revenge on the bad guy in behalf of the party? Do they resent them for their failure? There are tons of storytelling potential, even in the worst of failure. Speak openly with your fellow players and your GM when you feel that there is a problem. I mean, you don't have to be a martyr and just silently accept everything that is upsetting you about your fellow players and the game itself. But the worst thing you can do is try some passive-aggressive in-game or out-of-game bullshit in the vain hope that the others will notice the error of their ways and change on their own. That will only help to make the others mad at you, not solve anything. Instead, address the problem when there's time for it. During a break in the game, before or after a game, or in between games. Discuss the problem calmly and rationally, like adults are supposed to. Now this might sound obvious, but I'm still shocked at how rarely people actually do this. Most often it will turn out that the problem was a simple misunderstanding or something the others were just not aware of and are happy to do differently in the future. Sometimes it turns out it is you that has to do differently. And sometimes it turns out there are unbridgeable differences in what people want from the game. In that case, it's better to end things amicably rather than continue with a situation that everyone is unhappy with. This is probably not a comprehensive list, but this is what I came up with on my own and when I asked my fellow GMs. So, let me give this question back to you. What is your best advice on how to be a good player? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're still watching, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and goodbye.